Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
This is Peach.
Yes.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for Marvel's Black Panther. Now, if you have not seen a post-Geekout reaction before, it's not a review. I do have a review for this coming up later this weekend, and the review, I sit down, think of everything that I want to say, write it all out, give it a score at the end, and there are no spoilers. The post-Geekout reaction is just an open discussion between the two of us about the thing that we just watched, and that does include full spoilers. So if you have not seen Black Panther, tune out now, come back for that review, or after you've seen the film. And if you're that dude who works at YouTube, who has to check my videos to make sure that they're okay to be monetized, dude, you know me by now. You've watched hundreds of my videos by now. You know I'm not gonna do anything stupid. You know it's all gonna be cool, baby. Just click the monetization button. Don't spoil this film for yourself, okay? Let's all just be cool. Everybody fine? So they end up killing the Black Panther halfway through this film. And no, okay. I just wanted to mess with those people who have not seen this film and they're still going through this. So our dog is trying to go under the couch, but that's fine. Let her be. Let her be. She likes it under there.
Yeah, but she's growing up, so she sometimes gets stuck under there.
It's her own Panther cave. I love that they gave Black Panther his own Bat Cave in here.
Yeah.
Because I have always said that Black Panther is basically Marvel's version of Batman, and here's the thing, I am a huge fan of the Black Panther in the comics, but the Black Panther in the comics, people don't appreciate all the cool sides of this character, and I was like, man, they're not gonna capture it all in here. They captured it all in here. Like, that's one thing that I gotta say. He's not just Batman, he's James Bond as well. I mean, they go on like a spy mission in South Korea at one point in here, which they actually end up traveling to South Korea, and I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting that they like were actually willing to go to another country. And they don't really need to. You only see like one little room there, and like you see some city streets, but you know that's all CGI because it's in a big car chase sequence. But yeah, they captured all of that in there, and like, you know, Wakanda is the most technologically advanced nation in the Marvel in the Marvel universe, and I was like, yeah, but they're not gonna go too big with all that because, you know, Wakanda is basically like Asgard, but it exists on Earth, and I was like, man, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's not gonna stop digging. Blah, come on, blah, come on. Yeah, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is trying to be more grounded than the comics. They're not going to go for that. No, they went for that. It is indeed as big as it is in the comics.
And the thing is, like, I'm glad they went that far, but at the same time, it's like, I'm glad it's on Earth because, like, a lot of the Marvel movies, and between the Marvel movies and Star Wars, like, I'm getting kind of tired of space.
I got bad news for the next Marvel film.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, oh wow, they're in a place with grass and trees and kids playing basketball.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about this, is that, like, yeah, Wakanda is this big technologically advanced city, but like there are moments when you see like the city streets, and it's like, yeah, man, it feels like New York kind of walking around. It's like there's a guy out there just selling, like, you know, meat on the street. There's people just shopping for handbags. There's people just like checking out their phones down there. It's like, yeah, this feels like really human. Which that's one problem that I did have with this film. There's lots of positives, and we'll get into all of that. But one problem that I did kind of have with this film is that I wanted to see more of Wakanda. Because you see Shuri's lab, which was awesome. Shuri is fantastic in here. Shuri, man, people are going to disagree with me on this. I like Shuri more in this than I like her in the comics. Because in the comics, she's just, yes, I'm another badass. And it's like, well, all the Black Panthers are badass. Like, what's different about you? In here, she is Q. She is his weapons expert. And she not only is the weapons expert, but she's also like 16 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine like a 16-year-old girl just being really excited about science and building super cool weapons. And T'Challa's like doing stuff like he's coming back and it's like these weapons work perfectly. It's like, hey, just because it worked perfectly doesn't mean it can't work better. Here, I'm gonna keep tinkering with it. And like you can tell she's actually really excited to like make all this new stuff for him. So you see her lab, you see the throne room. And you see the big waterfall. That's pretty much the three locations you keep visiting in Wakanda over and over and over again.
Well, then there's the Black Panther cave, as you put it, like the mines where...
Well, no, I was referring to Shuri's lab.
Oh, okay.
But you see the mines, like, kind of off in the distance. Like, whenever they look out the window in Shuri's lab, you see the mines.
Well, like the final fight took place in the mines.
Yes, but, well, it takes place on a train track.
In the mines.
In the mines. Let me finish my goddamn point. My point is, I want to see more of the city itself. Like, those aren't like, that's like saying, oh yeah, you get to see Washington, D.C., and you just keep seeing the White House over and over again. It's like, no, let me see, like, the people on the street, man. Let me see them walking around. Because, yeah, there's only one real scene where you see that, and then they do it again at the very end of the movie. I thought that was really cool. I want to see what the day-to-day life in Wakanda is like. So that was one, like, minor, teeny, like, not even, like, really a complaint, but more like, I would like to have seen more of this in the film. Also, I mentioned Shuri and how she's very different in here than she is in the comics, and I liked her more in here. One other, like, small, just being, like, a comic book junkie, like a Black Panther fan from the comics, one small complaint I did have is that Martin Freeman's character, Everett Ross, he is way more of a weenie in the comics, and I wanted that. I wanted weenie Everett Ross. And instead, they made him cool. They made him like, you know, hey, I'm a CIA agent, and I used to be a pilot, and I'm, you know, really cool secret agent guy. I'm like, Everett Ross is not cool secret agent guy.
I kind of felt like they were going with the token white guy as opposed to the token black guy.
I almost got that feeling in here that it was
because
almost...
it's like, oh hey, I'm like the cool guy that does stuff in the background.
He's Black Panther's Falcon.
Yeah, basically.
It's like, that's kind of the feeling I got. It's like, this, like, there came a moment in which Everett Ross at the end of this, he's kind of like helping to save the day because he's piloting this big ship, flying around, stopping all these guys who are going to take weapons out across the world. And I was looking at that and I thought, this kind of feels like what the Falcon would do in a Captain America movie. Cap's off doing the big cool thing. Falcon saves a little bit of the day over there on the side. And it's like, all right, yeah, I get, like, I understand it, but at the same time, it's like, I wanted weenie Everett Ross. Like, in the comics, like, look up any picture of Everett Ross from the comics. It's him doing this while Black Panther is being a badass in, like, the foreground. And I love that about him. The guy who created Everett Ross was Christopher Priest, and I was reading an interview with him from way back before he burned all his bridges with Marvel and told Marvel to go fuck itself, which he's just now finally returned to working for Marvel. But he said that when he created Everett Ross, he basically said, listen, you can't have just Black Panther being cool, then it gets old. You need some guy to be that guy who looks at all the cool stuff Black Panther's doing and go, oh my god, how's he doing that? So he was watching Friends one night, and he saw Chandler Bing, and he went, that guy. And so yeah, in the comics, Everett Ross is based on Chandler Bing from Friends, and I was looking at this like, man, I kind of wanted Everett Ross to be a big weenie, to be the guy who, like, Black Panther is constantly having to rescue and, like, is basically just, like, spouting jokes the whole time, but then it gets his ass kicked, like, constantly. And
I understand, but I feel like that would like get annoying really quick, and he has other stuff to worry about, bigger stuff to worry about.
It wouldn't match the tone of this film, I understand. It's just, I like weenie Everett Ross, that's my only thing.
Well, maybe we'll get more weenie Everett Ross.
No, he's a cool pilot guy, they're not going back on that. But, I mean, I understand. It wouldn't match the rest of the tone of this film, because the rest of this tone, this is probably the least jokey of the Marvel films. Yeah, and I'm totally okay with that, because we just had Thor, which was the most jokey of the Marvel films. So I really dig this total change in tone that they're going for. This is definitely meant to be way more of a serious film, like an actual spy film that's got, you know, like little quips here and there. Shuri is really the only, like, real source of comedy.
What about the tribe in the mountains? What's their name?
The Jabari.
Yes, like the leader.
That guy was actually really good.
Yeah.
And man, that guy, let me look up his name here real quick. But yeah, in the comics he's known as Man-Ape, and he's like one of the weirdest, dumbest villains out there. But man, they redeemed that dude. They made him like an actual threatening badass in here. Winston Duke is his name. But I kind of got mad at Winston Duke in here because Killmonger is the main villain in here, and he's played by Michael B. Jordan. And I love Michael B. Jordan, and I love Killmonger, but I was kind of mad at the casting of Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger because I love Killmonger, and one of the reasons I love him is he is built like a tank. He is like 2 feet taller than T'Challa. He is a mountain of a man. And I was like, yeah, Michael B. Jordan, you know, he's got some height on him, but he's not that big. But I understand, you can't find a dude that big who can act that well. Most actors that tall and that buff aren't that great of actors. And then this guy comes in as M'Baku, and I'm like, cast him as Killmonger. That dude is like 9 feet tall, and he is killing it in this role.
Well, it's like he was basically born in America, so I guess...
I don't know where anybody in this film is from, because, yeah, I mean, Wakanda isn't an actual nation. Like, the accent that they use in this film, they were explaining it from Civil War. They actually invent that accent. That accent is not an actual real African accent. They actually combine, like, 3 different dialects to create that accent. I was like, that is so damn cool. But yeah, like, everybody in here, a lot of these people are British. I know that much. Like, I know the girl who played Shuri is British. Winston Duke, I don't know where he's from, but yeah, I guess if he's also British, then it would make more sense to cast Michael B. Jordan, but also the director of this film, Ryan Coogler, has a long-running relationship with Michael B. Jordan. He's been in his 2 previous films, so I understand. And yeah, Michael B. Jordan is good in this role. Just again, as a guy who's a fan of the comics, I wanted the mountain man Killmonger. I wanted the guy who was like a juggernaut, and yeah, Winston Duke came in here and was like, oh my god, that dude would be perfect as Killmonger. But he's also perfect as M'Baku. So, yeah. When he comes in the first time and they just crash the Black Panther's, like, ceremony and they have to fight him there on the waterfall, holy cow, he's so threatening in that one scene. I was like, is that all we're going to get of him? Because he's so cool. It'd be a shame if that was it. And the way that he comes back at the end of this adds so much character to him. Like, he is such, like, a fleshed out... That's another, like, small little complaint that I have about this. Like, they mentioned there are 5 tribes that make up Wakanda, but one of them, the Jabari, split off and moved into the mountains, so it's only 4 remaining, and you get some history on the Jabari, you get to learn some more about them, and I was like, I want to know more about these other 4 tribes now. But I understand, there's not enough time for all of that. I get that. In fact, man, I know that I'm only listing off my complaints here at the beginning, but I did love this film. It's just these are things that are coming to my mind right now. Another small little complaint is that, yeah, this is a film that felt like it needed like another like 10 more minutes just because we are getting into full spoilers here at this point. But I'm forgetting everybody. Forrest Whitaker's character, there's a scene in which he dies in this film, and it's supposed to be this big dramatic moment. Zuri, that's his name. It's supposed to be this big dramatic moment. I thought, it's kind of dramatic, but it would have been more if we'd gotten like one more scene in here of like him and T'Challa bonding, like something like that. I feel like he didn't have enough scenes in here for it to really be the big emotional impact that they were going for.
Yeah, it's like, I was thinking like maybe if they made like another Black Panther movie as like an intro, but then I realized Marvel has like already so many intro movies.
There's no reason to do an intro film because we got T'Challa's intro in Civil War. If you do a prequel to that, it would be T'Chaka. It wouldn't even be T'Challa in here. It's like, nobody wants to hear about T'Chaka. They want T'Challa in here. So, yeah, we're not getting any more on him. Another thing in here is that, and again, I gotta look up everybody's names, because, man, there's so many people in this film. But Daniel Kaluuya, who played W'Kabi, he and Okoye, who's the head of the Dora Milaje, they're in a relationship, and that relationship comes back at the very end of this film. It's mentioned once, and they're not even the same scene together when they mention it. They're like on the phone, and when she goes, "Hello, my love," and that was it. And then at the end of it, that relationship comes back. It's like, I forgot you two were a thing, in all honesty. I forgot that. So yeah, I think that they need another scene in there, like kind of fleshing that out. Also, just to list off the last like kind of complaint that I have with this film, this really feels like 2 movies to me. Like, it feels like all the stuff with Claw, it feels like that's the first film. And it feels like all the stuff with Killmonger is the second film, because Killmonger, his origin story is set up at the very beginning of this movie. Then we see him like at the museum, and that's a pretty cool scene there. Then he isn't really seen until the halfway point in this film. In fact, he doesn't even really explain any of his like motivations, his origins, or anything until like the final act of the film. And I feel like, yeah, I want a whole film with Claw, and I want a whole film with Killmonger.
I kind of felt like maybe like Claw was supposed to be like the red herring in a way. Because
I definitely feel that way, because the Claw is Black Panther's Joker, for anybody who knows the comics. Yeah, he's that guy who keeps coming back over and over again, has messed with Black Panther the longest. I mean, in the comics, he's the guy who killed his dad. So yeah, I can totally understand that. I mean, you barely even see Killmonger. No, actually, in the original stuff that you saw for this film, Killmonger wasn't really seen at all. Then they were like, yeah, Michael B. Jordan's a big name. Let's get Killmonger in this some more. But yeah, I kind of just want Claw to have his own film. And then the second film, be Killmonger and be revealed at the end of this is like, yeah, I was the guy setting up Claw and all this stuff. And then like you reveal that, oh, the guy at the beginning, I'm his son and all this. And then that leads into like the second film. Because, yeah, I like Killmonger as a villain. I think he's got really good motivations in here. I think he's really fleshed out. But he doesn't even really have that many speaking lines until the final act of this film. And I want him to be like the entirety of the film. I want him to have way more in this
it's
movie.
like, if anything, like, Klaus seems like the weaker, like, stereotypical villain.
Oh, he's totally the weaker villain in here. Don't get me wrong. Killmonger is a great villain. That's kind of why I'm saying it's kind of a shame we had to, like, shove his entire storyline until the back half of this movie. Because, yeah, there's some great emotional stuff with him. And this is a film that is really, man, between this film and Thor Ragnarok, that makes 2 Marvel films in a row that just have hardcore anti-colonialism messages in them. Disney isn't playing around anymore. No. Disney's like, yeah, we've won you over. What are you gonna do? Stop watching this universe at this point? You're too invested, motherfuckers. We can put in here all the political messages we want. And you know what? Good for them.
Yes.
Bravo.
This is stuff that needs to be brought up.
Yeah, man. When you find out at the beginning of this film, it opens up in 1992 in Oakland, California, and there are these 2 guys who are planning on spraying some weapons out, and then the Black Panther pops up, and it's T'Chaka, Black Panther's dad, and it's basically revealed later on in the film that one of these 2 guys is T'Chaka's brother, and he was forced to kill this guy because he was the guy who actually helped Claw steal the Vibranium from Wakanda, and he was basically saying, do you know how black people are treated around the world? We have the means to help our brothers and sisters out, and you're doing nothing. You're just sitting over there in your big hidden city, just sitting around on a mountain full of vibranium doing nothing. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, but like at the same time, it's like because they know how terrible the outside world is, they want to protect Wakanda.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, you can kind of understand their point too. It's like, Wakanda, they don't really talk about this much in the film, but in the comics, Wakanda has never been invaded. Ever. Like, it's the only African nation that was never, like, colonialized. It's the only African nation where nobody ever, like, invaded and tried to take over, because anytime you got even close to Wakanda, you weren't leaving Wakanda. And yeah, that's basically why they're like, yeah, man, we know how bad the rest of the world is. That's why we don't go out into it. Why do you think our city is a utopia? We don't mess with the rest of the world. So you kind of understand their point of view on it too, but you understand this guy's like, yeah, you're ignoring all this suffering, but his idea of how to fix all this suffering was hand everybody weapons.
Yeah.
And they bring that up here, which is like, yeah, you're going to just do the same things that all the evil people in history have done, and that's going to fix it all? That doesn't help.
And plus, if you give weapons to your allies, there's a good chance that the enemies might get their hands on them
or
too.
the allies eventually become enemies.
Yeah,
like we've seen
and
this
stuff
throughout
like
history,
that. Yeah.
Our dog is stuck under the couch right now, so
Yes.
you can hear Yeah, she's trying to get out.
Yeah,
Hold
sorry,
on.
Pete, you're getting too big to go under the couch.
Our dog loves sleeping under the couch, but she has now grown too big to get out of the couch. She can get under the couch, but not out of it. And I don't understand how the science of that works. But yeah, so no more of that, Missy. Okay, so have you heard a little, like...
Yeah, little scratching noises. That's her trying to dig her way out.
Yeah, our dog still is not used to being left on her own. And this is like one of the first times we've ever had to leave her for like 3 or 4 hours on her own. So she is so happy to see us.
Yes.
And she's ruining our video. But anyway, so yeah. So this thing, it opens up with them, with this guy basically saying like, hey, I'm going to use these weapons to try and help people out around the world. It's like, yeah, it's not going to really pan out here with this. But that plays into Michael B. Jordan's motivations later on, because Michael B. Jordan was this guy's son, and you find out that T'Chaka, after killing his own brother, was like, we can't let anyone know that this happened. So his son, we're just gonna leave him here in America. We're just abandoning him. We're gonna turn our backs on this kid. And yeah, he comes back and basically goes, yeah, you abandoned me, killed my father, and I also kind of agree with what my father was saying. And he brings up so many like points about like the treatment of black people around the world, about colonialization, I mean, his final line in this movie, I was hoping they wouldn't kill him off because they killed Claw in here, which, again, to me, in a Black Panther film, you killing Claw is kind of like in a Batman film, you killing the Joker. And people are going to say, well, they did that in the Tim Burton ones. Yeah, and it was a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. That was dumb. Yeah, so I was kind of ticked when they killed off Claw, but I was like, well, at the end of this, he goes, we can still heal you. And I was like, yeah, you can heal him, bring him back, have like a thing where like you two are brothers, and in the next one, like maybe he starts like working alongside you or something, or then he turns on you again, becomes the villain again in another film, because yeah, Killmonger's a great villain, you should keep him around. And he says, what, and just be locked in his cell? Bury me at sea with all the slaves who jumped overboard because they realized that death was better than enslavement. I was like, fuck, that is a good final line to go out on. Shit. Yeah, man, this, for all you people out there who are like, well, the Marvel films, it's just jokey fun. First off, I've always kind of disagreed with that. I think the Marvel films have way more messages in them than people like read into. Like there are people out there who think that Thor Ragnarok was just a fun, jokey, like buddy space travel film. I'm like, they stopped the film halfway through there to tell you this is an anti-colonialism film. Did you go and get popcorn during that scene?
It's like, honestly, DC is the less serious one. They're the ones not bringing up these issues.
Aside from Wonder Woman, we have to like.
Yes.
I was actually thinking about that too. It's like, yeah, man, the one line in Thor Ragnarok, where do you think that gold came from, has more messages and more meaning to it than anything in any DC film. And then I started going, except Wonder Woman. We have to remember Wonder Woman was a DC film. Man, my brain does not want to associate her with Batman vs. Superman, even though that's where she first appeared. But yeah, you look at these films and it's like, wow, all the other Marvel films, I've always pointed them and said, no, there's a lot of messages in there. Like Iron Man 3 is another one that people are like, this film's stupid and it's not about anything. Like, remember back when we were doing that movie review show before this one with that larger group of people, and one of them, I remember when we were reviewing Iron Man 3, he just said, sure, Iron Man 3 is fun, but it's not about anything. Man of Steel was about something. I was like, I'm sorry, the film in which a rich white businessman is using this terrorist figure who he has propped up and isn't like a real threat at all, and just making this actor pretend to be one, using him as a threat to get people to invest in his company. Is like, that's not a message about something? How on earth are you not understanding this? I'm getting way too political for our audience. But we're talking about Black Panther here. How are you? But yeah, like, it feels like this was the film in which Marvel finally came in and went, how do you dumb fucks still not understand we're making messages in these movies?
Yeah, like, another, like, message is, like, basically saying, like, they're hiding Wakanda, so they're kind of always telling the rest of the world, oh, it's a third nation country, they're so poor.
And yeah, everybody is like, okay, well then fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the rest of the world doesn't, like, the way that they get people to not care about Wakanda is to tell them, oh, it's just poor people here. Oh, well then, hey, we're not going to do anything about that. Bye. There's nothing there that can help us out. Well, then we have no reason to help you. And that's what kind of makes the message at the end of this of T'Challa, who Wakanda doesn't need to help the rest of the world. Wakanda can just be on their own and be fine. The message at the end of this film in which he's like, no, it's the job of the haves to help the have-nots. And to see them basically going, yeah, we're going to set up like outreach centers. We're going to start sharing our science. We're going to start sharing our wealth. We're going to start helping the rest of the world. Yeah, man, that's a very strong message. Also, it's just a message about the importance of representation.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how this film ends, like that final shot of like the little kid looking up at Black Panther. Man, yeah, that's amazing. And there's going to be so many other people out there who this hits a tone with them that we can't even comprehend.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm not even going to come in here and try and pretend like, oh, I understand the impact of this film perfectly. I understand that it has an impact.
Yes.
People out there are going to feel something from this film that like I'm not even going to come close to being able to feel. So when people out there like do talk about that feeling, when people out there do talk about like the impact that it gives them, listen to those people. Go out there and understand the importance of this film to so many people out there. God, are you okay, dog? Did you eat your own fluff again and now you're coughing up hairballs?
Maybe.
All right. But yeah, I think this film really pulled all that off, and I kept hearing about the messages of this film, and about halfway through, I was like, yeah, you know, it's got some messages in there. And then, like, the last half of this film is them just going, nope, we aren't even hiding what this film is about anymore. And good for it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I've always thought the Marvel films had messages to them, but apparently they were too subtle for some people to pick up on. So I'm kind of glad that in this film they just went, nope, this is what this is about. Just as I said, I do kind of wish that this had been 2 movies instead of 1, that like Killmonger had just been kind of like set up in the shadows of this one, and then he was the big villain throughout the entire second film, because I think that Killmonger needed an entire film, and instead it feels like he had a background story to this, but it wasn't until the 3rd act that we got to see it. And what we see in the 3rd act is really good. Like the moment in which he takes the heart-shaped herb and he actually goes into the spirit plane and he's communicating with his father there, that scene was so emotional. That's one of the most emotional scenes we've gotten for a villain in a Marvel film. But I just wish that we had gotten more of him. Really, the only complaint I have about this film is, I just wanted more. And I want Everett Ross to be a weenie. But let's see. But also, what amazes me the most about this is that Ryan Coogler, he did great action stuff in Creed, but there is a difference between a boxing fight and superpowered fights. The fight scenes in here are so damn good. And of course, like the special effects things where everybody's CGI, they look good, but they always look good in a Marvel film. I've always said that the stuff where people are doing hand-to-hand fighting in a Marvel film, I feel like they do too many quick cuts in there because, of course, the actors can't really fight. I think they did them better here than in most of the other Marvel films. Like them fighting on the waterfall.
Yeah.
Like I think that was done really well, which granted, they're wearing masks in those scenes, so it's clearly not those actors doing that. But it was still done very well. But when you actually get to the big superhero battles at the end, those are awesome. Like the end when everybody's going up against each other. What are you doing? At the end when everybody's going up against each other there, and like they even bring the rhinos in, like covered in armor. That could have been so silly, and yet it was so cool. Like the first time you see the rhinos and this, okay, that's one of smoking away. The rhino in that first scene that you see it is horribly CG.
Yeah.
I gotta say that. Because the rest of the CG in here is pretty damn good. But when he comes in with all the armor on, I was like, this could have been so stupid, and yet it's so damn cool. Like seeing Black Panther actually fight a rhino is so damn cool. But then you see like everybody coming in here. You see like the Jabari coming back in. You see the Dora Milaje, which it did bum me out as a comic book fan that they only say the word Dora Milaje once in here and they never even stop to explain what it is. The Dora Milaje in the comics, it's Black Panther's personal bodyguard squad, and it's all women.
Yeah, it's like, was it like based off like a lion pride? Because he's like the king and like the women are the lionesses. And they're
the lion and the female lions are the deadlier of the species. Yeah, so that's kind of the thinking behind the fact that all of his bodyguards are women.
Like, by the way, I really like that, like, all his backup are, like, pretty much all women. So,
yeah, there's a lot of women in this film.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's his sister who's, like, the tech support, and, like, there's the
queen.
Yes.
His mother.
The guards you mentioned.
The guards, yeah. Which, yeah, this is a film that is, it's not just, man, I mentioned how this is a film all about representation. It's not just like representation for black people, it's representation for black women specifically. God, our dog has the sneezes now. You're talking about cats and I don't like it.
Oh, are you allergic to cats?
But yeah, this film, all the women in here are freaking amazing in this movie. I gotta look up her name. The woman from The Walking Dead, who plays Michonne in The Walking Dead. She plays Okoye, is her name. She is the one who plays Michonne in The Walking Dead, right? Let me make sure that I didn't just totally get that wrong, because that would be horrible. Known for... Yes! Okay, thank God. That would be bad to mix that. But yeah, Okoye, she was so good here, which I stopped watching The Walking Dead TV show shortly after she was introduced, and Michonne is kind of a one-note character, but she's meant to be a one-note character. Like, she is meant to be, like, the silent, solitary badass, and it's not until, like, way later in her story that she shows off other sides to herself. So I never really got, like, a sense of her acting range. She is so damn good in here. Like, she can, like, play that, like, I'm going to whoop everybody's ass kind of character, but you also get that sense that, like, she's, like, full of heart. Like, she cares about her king. She cares about her country. And watching the Dora Milaje actually fight in here is so cool. Like, the moment in which they actually have to go up against Killmonger, you know it has to come down to Black Panther versus Killmonger, but you kind of want to see them win. Like, the moment which they get all their spears, like, around his neck, I was like, God damn, they're so coordinated. Like, this, you get that sense that they are a fully functioning, badass team. Like, they can go in there and kick ass. And I love that because up until then, you had only really been seeing Okoye actually fight. And she was also really damn cool with that. The whole casino thing, like, seeing her actually kick that guy's ass in the casino. I mentioned how on the waterfall they were in mass, so it was clearly like body doubles, it was clearly stuntmen. No, that was all her doing that. I was like, how fucking long did it take you to learn that? That was awesome. Speaking of action sequences, you know, we mentioned that the ones at the end are really damn cool. The car chase scene, that is gonna like go down in like comic book movie history as one of the best action scenes.
Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there were like RC cars with Black Panther on top that the kids will control and everything.
There had better be a crap ton of merchandise lined up for
Seriously.
this. I cannot wait for Halloween this year. There's gonna be so many Black Panthers running around. It's gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
No, eating my hand. All right. But yeah. There are so many opportunities for merch. Like, the moment in which they go down into Shuri's lab, like, everything in there. Everything in there. Like, the little, like, I keep forgetting what they're called, but the beads that they use, which are basically, like, it's so weird, because when those were invented for the comics, they were meant to be, like, smartwatches. And now we actually have smartwatches.
Yeah, so, like,
so they had to amp it up.
Yes, and they did that.
Yeah, like, the fact that they actually have, like, vibranium, like, come out and, like, form into, like, the shape of whoever's talking to them. It's like, that's so damn cool. I do kind of have a little bit of a complaint that they said that vibranium heals people in here. I don't know if that's something from the comics, but vibranium has always kind of been the miracle it can do anything stone. And when it got to the point where they were like, yeah, it can heal someone by shoving it into their open wound, I went, okay, that's the one part where I have to kind of like call, wait, what? Because I feel like they don't explain vibranium enough to be able to like go into like, oh, and it can heal people. Okay, absorb kinetic energy. I get that. Absorb audio and sound. I get that. You're gonna have to explain the whole it can heal people thing. I read the comics and I don't even understand that one. So yeah, but again, that's like a little tiny, like I wish they had gone into more detail, like, because that's another little thing about this film. I loved so much of this, but I loved it partly as a fan of the comics, but there came a moment in here which I went, I know all this stuff from the comics, but they haven't stopped to explain anything in here to the non-comic book fans, so I kind of wonder how people like yourself who don't read the Black Panther comics, like, were you ever confused by anything in here?
I just kind of went with it.
Okay.
It's like, oh, okay, so like this is a magical stone that can do lots of cool, amazing shit. So.
Okay. Okay, yeah, it's fair enough.
Space rocks.
Yeah, it comes down from space, which... That's something they have never really touched on in the comics, that vibranium originated in outer space. It's like, shouldn't there be like a whole fucking like planet of like vibranium out there? Like, if a nation is that super advanced with like just a rock of vibranium, what would a planet full of vibranium be like? That's something I've always wanted to see, and they've never really gone into that in detail. They have mentioned vibranium is found out in space aside from Earth, so again, it's like, okay, so it does exist in space somewhere, so I've always wanted to see more talk about that. Although, if you want to get real nerdy, there is an naturally occurring Earth form of vibranium, except that does completely different things from the space vibranium, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I really dug this. I also kind of found it interesting that like they wanted to be so serious with this that they don't even have jokey post-credit scenes. They still have the 2 post-credit scenes that all Marvel films do, but most Marvel films, one sets up the next film, one sets up like the next franchise film. So like one would set up Black Panther 2, one would set up Avengers Infinity War. Same thing happens in this one, except that typically one of those is also a jokey thing. This one, no, both of them are totally serious. And I actually leaned over to you and whispered to you as soon as the credits started rolling, I will bet you money right now that the final post-credit scene is Black Panther walks into a room and Captain America and Bucky are sitting there just watching TV, and then they're like, oh, hey T'Challa, how are you doing? Oh, not bad. My nation was taken over. Oh, you should have told us, we could totally have helped with that. No, you're guessed, it's totally fine. Because, yeah, there came a moment halfway through this film in which I stopped and thought, their nation is being taken over right now. Isn't Captain America, like, just chilling there while Bucky is, like, in the cryogenic tube? Like, isn't that part of this world? Like,
No, it's like, we don't need any white men to help us. We can do this on our own.
They have one small line about that when they bring Everett Ross back in there. And Shuri just looks at him and goes, "Oh, another broken white boy to fix." And I thought, finally they mentioned that Bucky is here. Finally they mentioned that they're healing Bucky in some place. But yeah, it just seems so weird to me. It's like, did Cap at any point like look out the blinds and just see like Black Panther fighting like rhinos and like 3 different tribes going at each other? And like, did he ever stop and think, well, I don't know the politics of here, so I don't really know. I'm just gonna chill here for now.
I feel like Black Panther had to hold back Captain America. It's like, I can do this. Like, no, I must save everybody.
Sit your goofy Brooklyn ass down. I got this. Yeah, seriously, where the fuck was... That has to come up in Infinity War. Like, they have to explain where in the hell he has been. Was he just grooming that new beard of his the entire time? By the way, I have a theory that they made Chris Evans grow that beard for this film just so that they could one-up the mustache they had to CGI off Superman in the Justice League film. But yeah, as I said, I've got little nitpicks in here, but most of the nitpicks are just I wanted more. Like, you know, the whole thing about the romance between Okoye... That could have been more impactful at the end there when the rhino comes up and licks her. Like, if we had a scene of, like, Okoye, like, feeding the rhinos with her love interest. Or, you know, like, Forrest Whitaker's character. Yeah, I could have used, like, one more scene between him and T'Challa that wasn't just, tell me the truth about this. Okay, here's the truth about this. If we had like one more scene of like, say, like them actually bonding, just being friends, like just, oh, do you remember when you were a little boy and I was helping you with this? Like, okay, that would have made that impact a little bit more. And also, yeah, I just feel like Killmonger needed his own movie. I feel like too much of his stuff got pushed towards the back of this film. But aside from that, this film succeeds at everything. Like, it's really impressive to see a film that, you know, I joke about how the Marvel films have messages, but they're too subtle for the dumb audiences out there to get. But at the same time, I understand that's Disney playing it safe. That's Disney just coming in here and being like, well, yeah, but, you know, we have to make a film with a message, but not too clear in case people are going to get upset about it. It's really bold of them to come in here and just go, nah, man, we're going to stop the whole film and make this entirely about something. So I'm glad to see them doing that. And yeah, it adds a lot of depth to all these characters. This is a film in which, like, when T'Challa's learning the dark history of Wakanda, it really pays off in the end, in which he's like, yeah, we have been just hiding in the shadows way too long. And even though I want weenie Everett Ross, he's fine in here too. Like, I love that when he pops up in here, it actually pays off. It's not just like, oh, we need a white guy in here for the white audience. No, it is like, well, we need someone from the rest of the world who can stand up for, like, T'Challa at the UN and go, yeah, I'm going to, like, I'll stand by this guy. Like, I'll help this guy out. So it's like, okay, yeah, that, he needed a connection to the rest of the world. So that paid off. And all the supporting characters, Okoye, Shuri, they're both fantastic in here. Like I mentioned, I can't wait for Halloween because I can't wait to see all the little Black Panthers. I can't wait to see all the little Shuris. Like, if they're not selling like Shuri outfits with those little like Panther gauntlets of hers, man, you are missing out. There are going to be people making those Panther gauntlets if you don't make them yourself, Marvel. So yeah, I think that this film succeeded some of the stuff. And also the action is so damn good in here. That car chase sequence is going to be one of the best things in any Marvel film. So yeah, I can't give it like a perfect score because yeah, I do have those few little nitpicks in there. But man, this is a great movie. And I can't blame anybody for giving it a perfect score. Oh my god, you're biting into me real hard. Alright, you're teething. You want some food. Okay. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Anything else you want to see?
It was an awesome movie. Go see it.
It was an awesome movie. Yes, go and see it. Here's the thing. I went to the gym yesterday for the first time in like a decade, so I was incredibly sore, and the only seats we could get were on the front row, looking up the whole time. So I was in pain throughout this entire film. I was just sitting there like, but I never got up and left. I never got up and like tried to like move to the aisles for like a better seat or anything. Because I knew that there weren't any other seats. Everything was sold out. I've had a harder time buying tickets for this than I had for Star Wars.
Yeah.
This movie sold out everywhere. But my point is, I was in pain watching this because I was just so sore, and we were in the worst seat for me to sit in when you're in pain. I still love this movie. I do want to go back and see this like in a comfy seat.
I thought you were gonna say like, I feel so much better now. Black Panther has cured my achiness. Like,
oh yeah, Black Panther came in here. He like shoved like a Wakandan like vibranium bead into my back. Now my spine is all bare. I had that heart-shaped orb. It was great. Which man, that was a rough scene when he burned down.
Yeah. It's
Man.
Like, so what's gonna happen to the Black Panther legacy? Like,
well, I'm sure they have seeds for it somewhere. But yeah, that is a great image. There is a Twitter account that I follow called One Perfect Shot, in which is like one shot from a film that's just like, this is the shot from this film. I honestly might go with him standing there and the heart-shaped herb just all on fire, but I mean, there's a lot of damn good shots in here. Like, him flipping over the car is probably the shot. Like, the moment he lands on the other car. Which, goddammit, that was so cool when Shuri, like, they throw that thing on that car and it's like, oh, that's a tracking device. Nope. It lets Shuri remotely take over the thing, and then she just forms out, like, vibranium beads, like an interior, like, fake car, and is driving the thing. It's like...
That's awesome. Like, she can, like, stay in the tech lab, but also, like, be on the scene at the same time.
Yeah. It made me look at Ned and Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, you need to step up your I'm the guy in the chair job. The role for I'm the guy in the chair just got raised incredibly.
It's like, I'm the woman in the chair.
That needs to be something. That needs to be like a mug. What's wrong? We're not paying you enough attention? All right, we're almost done, buddy. We're almost done.
Almost done.
Just as soon as we're done talking about all the cool stuff in this film. That's a lot of things. But yeah, man, this film, it was a blast. All the characters are really good. I think right now this is Marvel's highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes. And as I was watching, I was like, is there anything that I would nominate this for an Oscar for? Because I can't quite put it at like Best Picture in my mind. Granted, we haven't seen what else is coming out this year. But I would definitely nominate the soundtrack. I think this has an amazing score. The music they made for this is incredible, and Marvel is known for, like, they'll have like one or two original songs, like a theme song they make for somebody. Everything else, it's, you know, it's just a soundtrack. Here, it's all score, and it's so damn good. This thing definitely deserves a nomination for Best Score. I'll have to wait until later in the year to see like what I would nominate it else for when I see the other films that are coming out. But yeah, this was a damn impressive movie. And again, as a guy who has been loving Black Panther in the comics for years, I still just can't believe that they were like, no, everything from the comics in this. It's like, are you sure people won't find it too weird to have like an Asgardian level city here on Earth? No, shut the fuck up and put it in our movie. That's the thing that I am loving about Marvel. Marvel looks at the comics, they look at the source material, and they know what to adapt to make it appropriate for a movie, because not everything in a comic will work in a movie, but they look at all the stuff that most people would say, well, this is too silly for the movie, and go fuck yourself, we're Disney, we have made a fortune off of making stuff too silly for movies, and making it work, goddammit. Yeah, this is what I've been kind of waiting for from the Marvel films, is that moment in which they just go, yeah man, we are not afraid to do anything in our movies. Hey, we're back.
Hey.
Hey, so after we finished recording, I went to work because I had to race out here as soon as we were done recording. And I got to work, and then all of a sudden I remember there was one thing I really wanted to talk about. It was an Easter egg in the post-credit scene, and I forgot to do it. Do I want to come back in here and add anything onto this just so that way I can talk about that Easter egg? But then the more I thought about it, the more I realized, wow, there are a lot of other things in this film that I wanted to talk about that we just didn't get to. Plus, I work at a comic book store that's like 2 blocks away from 2 major movie chains, and this was on Friday, so like every 20 minutes another showing would let out and people would come into the store. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of come in here and talk real quick about the showing of support for Black Panther. Like every 20 minutes we would have a group of people coming in just asking for Black Panther stuff. We'd have a lot of kids coming in asking for Black Panther action figures, which sadly the only thing that we had left was the Killmonger action figure. But the Killmonger action figure looks exactly like the Black Panther action figure, except that it's like gold, and like, it kind of, like when I saw that, I was like, I get why it looks exactly the same, and they set that up early on. When you see Black Panther deciding between the gold and the silver take on the Black Panther outfit, I was like, yeah, you could have like made it look a little bit different, just kind of like show like two different, just make the villain more distinct.
Like a Black Panther recolor, basically.
Basically, yeah, it looks like an alternate skin for him in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I wish that they had changed that a little bit. But yeah, it was great seeing all the people coming into the store looking for Black Panther stuff, like showing the outpour support for this character has been great. But the thing that I actually want to talk in here, speaking of the gold Black Panther outfit, one of the things that I did want to talk about is one kind of cool Easter egg in here. Is that I always loved my favorite Black Panther outfit from the comics was the one from the 90s when he did have like a gold trim, like the gold necklace, gold claws, because I think that gold matches up with black better than silver matches up with it.
Yeah, like gold pops out more.
It does pop out a lot more. And this movie starts off in the 1990s, in 1992, and you see King T'Chaka as the Black Panther, and his outfit, it does have the gold trim on it. So I kept thinking, okay, it might just be a total coincidence, but it would surprise me if they designed his outfit to look that way specifically to be like, okay, little reference to his 1990s outfit. So I really dug that. Another thing that I want to talk about is Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character. She's the love interest in here. I easily think she's the best love interest in any Marvel film. Because unlike every other female love interest in a Marvel film, except for the Wasp in Ant-Man, but she ends up becoming a superhero for the second film, I'd say aside from the Wasp in the first Ant-Man film, Lupita Nyong'o's character is the best love interest because she is the only love interest who isn't there just to be the love interest. I'm going through like the Rolodex here, like Pepper Potts never really did anything. Betty Ross in the Hulk, yeah, she was just there to go, no, Hulk, it's okay, Hulk. Who are the other love interests? Oh, you know what? No, Peggy Carter.
Oh, yes.
Peggy Carter definitely deserves...
She even has her own, like, spin-off TV show, so yeah.
She definitely, okay, she deserves a spot, but since Peggy Carter, Peggy Carter, the Wasp, had love interest in Thor, never, Yeah, she never really did anything, which is a shame, because I want to see the Jane Foster Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Natalie Portman was so bad as Jane Foster, and that character was written so poorly that you can't really do that. So yeah, that kind of stinks. Jane Foster was never good. What are some of the other love interests I'm forgetting here? Sharon Carter, even in the later Captain America films, she does some stuff. I mean, she is thrown in there just to be a love interest in the third one. I can't even remember most of the other love interests, and every single Marvel film has a love interest in them. But I think that up there with Peggy Carter, Nakia is definitely the best love interest, simply because she has her own stuff that she is doing. She is not there just to be the love interest to T'Challa, but she is just doing her own thing. And it's actually a very good thing. Yeah,
she's a spy.
She's a spy, but she's also a spy who left Wakanda because she was like, yeah, we've kind of just been holed up by ourselves. Do you know how much evil shit is going on in the world?
Like, basically, she's doing what Killmonger is, but doing it right.
Yes, and that is the point of her character, is to go, here is the right way. We actually have to go and help people, not go in there and just try and take over the world. So I think that she was a great character to have in here. And also, at the end, like, she suits up and she does stuff. Like, she doesn't just, again, she doesn't even need to be rescued. No female character in this film needs to be rescued, and I think we've reached that point with our films where it's like, yeah, we're done with that. Yeah. We're tired of that.
We are done with, like, women who need to be rescued, with women whose only purpose is to be the love interest. We're just sick of that shit.
Yeah, like, Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, I think really was, like, the start of, like, everything shifting. It's like, nah, man, we can have some kick-ass female characters in here, and they don't have to be a love interest. They don't have to come in here and be rescued by the main guy. Like, Valkyrie, again, had her own thing going on there. And yeah, she comes in, she's just a major badass in that film. And this kind of carries that on even better because we get to see that, okay, even when they are a love interest, they can do their own thing. They don't have to just be there to be the love interest. So I think that she's great. And the weirdest part of that, though, is that Nakia, in the comics, I might be mixing this up with another member of the Dora Milaje, but I'm pretty sure, because it's been years since I read this, but I'm pretty sure that Nakia in the comics, she was this member of the Dora Milaje who fell in love with the Black Panther, and the Black Panther was like, yeah, I can't date the Dora Milaje. You're all like members of different tribes, and part of the agreement is that each of you gets to come and like protect me evenly. And then when he kind of rejected her, she went nuts and became a villain. Yeah, she kind of sucks in the comics.
Yeah.
I love the Christopher Priest Black Panther run, but I will gladly admit, Christopher Priest can't really write empowering female characters. He was not known for that. So yeah, I find it so weird that like one of the most empowering love interest in a comic is in a comic book movie is one of the worst love interests in a comic. But yeah, I think that she is great and it needs to be pointed out. Also, one of the things that made this movie so impressive to me is that this is the 18th Marvel film. Get out from... God, the dog just went underneath the couch
Now
again.
she's gonna get stuck.
Oh, yep, I can already hear her trying to get back out and she can't. Alright, we will wrap this up quick. She's safe under there, don't worry.
Yeah, she just doesn't have trouble getting out.
She has space to move around under the couch. It's just that when she tries to come back out underneath it, it's too small for her. So she'll be fine until we get this done with. Alright, let's wrap this up quick though. One of the most impressive things about this is that this is the 18th Marvel film, and this is probably the most standalone Marvel film since, I'd say, probably, Captain America, the very first one. Because that was like the last one in which it was like, yeah, you don't need to know anything that came before this. Like, the only thing that they really talk about from the previous films in here is, like, the death of T'Challa's father in Civil War. And yet you don't really have to watch Civil War. You can just pretend like, oh, okay, I guess this is part of his backstory. Like, this is like, it's like if Batman talked about his parents being murdered.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, you don't need to see the Batman prequel film where his parents died in Crime Alley. You know, okay, they summed it up, got it, bing, bang, boom, got it, fine, cool. So I think that's really impressive that, like, at the 18th movie, and the one that leads right into the big finale, the thing they've all been, like, heading towards, they didn't have to come in here and really, like, go, okay, and now here are all the tie-ins. And I think that's cool, because I like how Marvel...
No.
The dog one's out. Alright, hold on one sec. Hey, look who's back, and who is not going out of our sight this time.
Nope.
Jeez, you little weirdo. Alright, but yeah, I like that Marvel does kind of like tie one thing into the next because it does create like this good flow and it does kind of help build one thing into the next. But it also does kind of like prevent some movies from becoming anything really better than they could be. And it prevents these directors from being able to really tell whatever stories they want to tell. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Edgar Wright left Ant-Man. He's like, yeah, they kept telling me to add all this stuff in there. And I was like, I understand, but at the same time, dude, it's a Marvel film, and they're trying to build a cinematic universe here. Yeah, you kind of have to do that sometimes. So I kind of hope that after Infinity War, when they don't really have to build into anything anymore, that these directors are allowed to do more of their own thing.
So like, you want like sort of like standalone superhero movies for the Marvel universe afterwards?
I want standalone superhero films that still kind of lead into each other. Kind of like how they did in the beginning.
Oh,
when
yeah.
they were all their own thing, but then bam, post-credit scene, and we're all leading up to this thing. Stop eating meat. Stop it. You little weirdo. Stop it. Alright, okay. And last thing I want to talk about is the Easter egg that was at the end of this. At the end of this thing, there's a bunch of kids and they're staring at someone, and then the person wakes up and then they go running out and they go, "White wolf, white wolf," and of course it's revealed that that's Bucky, and it's kind of like implied that, okay, he was doing like some weird vision quest thing to try and get all the brainwashing out of him. However, remember earlier in this video in which I said one of the things I love about Marvel is that they know all the crazy stuff that people say won't work in the movies from the comics. They look at that and say, "Nuh-uh, it will," and they're able to put it in there. But they still realize when there are things that just won't work from the comics, and they know what stuff to not put in the movies. There was one thing going into this film that I kept thinking, how in God's name are you going to talk about this from the comics? You're just gonna have to leave this completely out. There's no way you can put this in from the comics. Stop scratching the couch. Blah. But the thing from the comics that I kept thinking is like, are they gonna mention this at all from the comics? Because it's so weird. Is that Black Panther has a white brother. when Black Panther was a little kid, there was a plane flying over Wakanda with these two, like, I think they were British parents and their little kid. The plane crashed and the parents died, but the little boy survived. And King T'Chaka looked at the little boy and was like, all right, well, you need a home, and we can't really take you back to the outside world. We're going to adopt you, and you're going to live in the palace, and you're going to be my son as well. So T'Challa grew up with a white brother, and that white brother of his ended up becoming the head of the Black Ops team in Wakanda. Like, I can't remember their name. They're not the Dora Milaje. The Dora Milaje are like the Secret Service for the prince and the king. But like the specific Black Ops team in Wakanda, he ended up becoming the head of that. God, you are so fidgety. You want to get back under the couch even if you have to dig your way through. And I kept looking at that like, there is no way that you can like put that in here. But I'm kind of bummed because that guy is a great Black Panther villain. Like, eventually he ended up kind of becoming what Killmonger is in here, where he became this guy who was like, yeah, the rest of the world is stupid and primitive. Wakanda really needs to go in there and flex some muscle around the world. Like, we need to be going in there doing some, like, secret assassinations. We need to go in there, like, start selling off some of our weapons to the rest of the world, trying to arm people around the world. Like, we need to spread our army. So he ended up becoming this Black Panther villain, and he's a great villain in the comics. But this movie is supposed to be very empowering to black people, and it's supposed to be very empowering and focusing on, like, African culture. And if one of the first things that you saw in this movie was Black Panther going, oh, by the way, here's my white brother, it would be so weird. So I was like, there's no way they can do that. But that character's, like, supervillain name is the White Wolf. So at the end of this thing, when they have Bucky in there and all the kids are going, White Wolf, White Wolf, I was like, okay, that's a nice little, like, wink and nod to that. And considering that Bucky, like, went to Wakanda and, like, got some training there in order to like break free of his mind control. It always kind of bugged me that in the comics, Bucky still goes by the name Winter Soldier. Because I'm like, why the fuck would you be using the supervillain name that you used for like 5 decades when you were a brainwashed assassin all this time? Why would you still be using that name? So if they came in here for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and basically said like, hey, Bucky is going to like stick around Wakanda a little bit. He's going to become like head of their security, head of their Black Ops team because he's got all the knowledge for it, but he wants to redeem himself and wants to do good around the world. And he was named the White Wolf because that's what everybody kept calling him in Wakanda. It's like, okay, nice little reference to that. That's how you could work this villain in there. All right, that's pretty dope. By just changing him into somebody who actually makes more sense. So yeah, that was just something that I remember when I saw that in the movies. I was like, that's okay. That's a nice little wink and nod to this villain without you actually having to like explain like the really weird ass backstory of this villain. So yeah, I just found that incredibly cool, and I wanted to come in here and just kind of point it out. There was one other Easter egg, and I can't remember what it was. I'm sure there's a ton that I missed. Because I really started following Black Panther at the Christopher Priest run and then went into the Reginald Hudlin run, which is cool but terrible at the same time. And then, of course, later into the Ta-Nehisi Coates stuff. But there's tons of stuff that came way before that I never read. So I'm sure there's tons of references in here that I just completely missed. But there was one other one, and I know I will remember it later. But we're not coming back for that. That was it. We're done now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know what you thought of this down below. And remember, coming up tomorrow is going to be the actual official review of this, in which I give it an actual score. And there are no spoilers. But if you've watched this far, you probably don't care about the non-spoiler review. But thank you guys very much. Come back next time. Bye.